prayed to the Virgin Mary to save the city, and that's about when you came up with your little beer idea, and everything was fine, right? So I saved the day. Yay me! So the people of Munich, of course, it's the 16th century, the 17th century. You don't really go around in Catholic, conservative Bavaria denying miracles by the Virgin Mary, so nobody could really say that didn't happen. But they weren't about to honor Maximilian by putting a statue of him up here, like he wanted, right? So they said, no, Max, no statue of you, sorry. We're going to put up a statue of the Virgin Mary. She's the one that saved the day. So they stole this statue off of his father's grave, right over there in the Michaelskirche, the Michaelskirche. They stole it off of his grave and they put it on this column here in 1638 and renamed the square Marienplatz in honor of the Virgin Mary. That's why we are where we are right now. Now in all of those centuries, almost 4 centuries that thing has been up there, 14 karat gold, quite valuable. It's never been removed, it's never been stolen. There are a couple of reasons why. She's quite heavy. It's not very nice to say about her, but she's not a light lady. There are video cameras now watching the square, so it would be difficult. It's just logistically, it's difficult to climb up there and get it. But for instance, Napoleon came through the city. I mean, this city's been conquered several times. Armies have marched through here. That looks like the kind of thing Napoleon would have liked to take back to Paris, and he didn't. So my theory is that the reason it's never been stolen is because of these mystical, magical putti. The architectural term is putti. A putto is also known as a cherub in religion. And cherub is an ancient Hebrew word that translates basically as ninja babies. Yeah? These 4 ninja babies are guarding the Virgin Mary, and they're also protecting the city from its 4 main historical threats. So this guy right here, this putto here, is fighting a lion, and that lion is the symbol of war. So he's defending the city from war. This one's fighting a dragon. The dragon is the symbol of famine. He's defending the city from famine. This one on the other side is fighting a serpent, and that serpent represents heresy. While we're in Bavaria, heresy means Protestantism. Yeah? And on the other side, I don't know if you can see him through the gap right there. The other animal, that glassed cherub, is the only one not looking his enemy right in the eye. All the other ones are staring the monster in the eye. This one's looking away. He's still fighting him, but he's turned off to the side. The reason why is because the animal is scared. It's weird. It's a mix. It's not a real animal. It's got a chicken head, a lizard body, and lion feet. Has anyone read Harry Potter? Any Harry Potter fans that know what that animal is? That is a basilisk. It's one of these medieval mythological animals. When you see that in ancient or medieval iconography, what it means is something supernatural. When you see a weird mixed up animal like that, it represents something supernatural. In this case, it represents the mysterious and unknown cause of the plague. So that basilisk represents the plague. That cherub is fighting off the plague. The plague hit Munich 27 times, sometimes killed off 2/3 of the population at once. It was quite terrifying here, and as I said, they had no idea what caused it whatsoever. There was no germ theory, so it was very difficult to describe what was causing this plague and prevent it. They did come up with a relatively modern-sounding theory about how the plague was transmitted. They blamed our 4-legged, furry little friends. Any guesses? 4 letters, ends with ats.
The rats.
Not rats.
Not rats.
Cats.
Cats.
They blame the cats. They believe the cats were causing the plague because there were lots of cats around every time the plague broke out. So they gathered them all up. I imagine they put them in a bag and threw them in the river or something. Somehow they exterminated all the cats of the city, hoping to end the plague, and very quickly found that that was not the cause of the plague. You can imagine what happened when all the cats were gone, right? The plague got way worse. They were like, oh, it was the rats. Ah, that makes sense. The rats were the cause of the plague. It was the fleas, technically, on the rats. So they needed cats again. The city of Munich actually needed more cats. They had to go and beg for cats from other countries. They actually sent envoys down to Italy and offered to purchase all the cats in certain Italian cities and have them shipped over the Alps back into Munich. So all the cats that you see here in Bavaria today are actually of Italian descent. If you hear any of them in the streets, they'll sound a little bit like this. I'm going to do an imitation of an Italian cat for you, all right? Meow. They sound like regular cats because cats don't speak Italian. So what do you guys expect? So, I've got lots of stories like this for you about the Middle Ages. Some of them history, some of them local legends that you have to hear about because cities like to tell them. We'll do a lot of these things, and it's all about the Middle Ages and the Renaissance because German culture is really obsessed with the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. This building behind me, everybody take a look at this building behind me. It's a perfect example. It's called the Neues Rathaus. Rathaus means town hall, city hall. Council house is actually what it means. This Neues Rathaus is a good example of this obsession with the Middle Ages. How old do you think this building is? Throw out a year. Give me a guess, just anything. What does it look like? When? No, it's newer than that. Give me a century, just a century. No guesses? It was finished in 1908, actually. This is a relatively new building. It looks horribly old. It looks horribly or wonderfully old, but it was finished in 1908. And the reason why they built this is because they wanted a medieval-looking building on this square. So they tore down all of the old medieval buildings that used to be on this square that didn't look medieval enough for them, and built a modern building in the medieval style right here, so that the city looked more medieval. And if you look up the tower on this building, you're about halfway up the tower, you'll see that bronze spot, that green bronze spot right there. That is one of the biggest tourist attractions here in Munich. That is the world-famous Glockenspiel. You probably read about it in your guidebooks. This building has been filling the square at 11, 12, and 5 p.m. every day for 100 years, for over 100 years, 105 years. The Glockenspiel goes off at 11, 12, and 5. In the wintertime, only at 12. And it is well, I would recommend for you to come and see it, but it was rated by one of the guides, the tourist guidebooks, as the second most overrated tourist attraction in all of Europe. Now, I love it. I don't know what they're talking about. I've seen it a million times, and I'm still excited by it every time. I wish that we were going to watch it right now, but you can come back at 5 and see it. The number one most overrated tourist attraction in Europe, by the way, was the astronomical clock in Prague. Anybody see that? Have your face melted off with excitement from that? All right. So come back at 5, take a look at the Glockenspiel. What you'll see, I'll just tell you very quickly, what you'll see on the Glockenspiel are two vignettes, two sort of ancient animatronic vignettes. More stories from the Middle Ages, actually. The first one is the wedding of the Duke, Wilhelm V. In 1568, Wilhelm V got married to a lady, a lovely lady named Renée de Lorraine. Right? That's beautiful. She came here and people insisted on calling her Renate von Lothringen. But, it's changed. Sorry, I'm going to make fun of German a lot in this. When I say it, it just comes out awful like that. I love German, but it's a rough to pronounce. He got married, and because she had to change her name in this way, she needed something to make up for it. So she had one of the most lavish and elaborate weddings of the Renaissance. She was carried into town by 3,500 knights from Lorraine, which is now part of France. She had a wedding cake that a dwarf popped out of and danced around to entertain the crowd. All of Munich was right here to celebrate the wedding in Marienplatz, and the main attraction was a joust. You guys are familiar with jousts, yeah? Everybody knows what a joust is. So there was a joust held right here in Marienplatz between a Bavarian knight and an Austrian knight, representing the bride and groom. Who do you think won?
Bavaria.
Bavaria, yeah, Bavaria wins. Now, when you watch it in the Glockenspiel, I hope I haven't ruined the suspense for you, but it's very suspenseful. You see the little vignettes, the little figures start dancing around. They're trumpeters and jesters. And then the knights come, and you're really excited. They've got their lances leveled at one another, and you think, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then they just pass each other. It's just... It takes a long time. By the way, when you come here, if you come at 11, if you come at 12, when you get here, right when it starts, okay, you'll see everybody in the crowd has their cameras up, ready to videotape, because I think at my last check there were only like 75,000 videos of it on YouTube, so definitely. But they hit record, sometimes with these big heavy cameras, they hit record right at 11 or right at 5, right when the guidebooks say it starts, right? What they don't know, and you should be prepared for, is that there are 5 to 8 minutes of out-of-tune bells before you see anything, right? So just be prepared for that. The bells are out of tune. There were 42 bells in that tower. They're out of tune because they sent them to Amsterdam to get them tuned up a little bit, and they came back way, way worse than before. Paid millions and millions to Amsterdam to tune these bells, and they didn't quite do it. Amsterdam's a little bit of a rival city. The second